Okay, good evening to our next episode of Michael Morpurgo's Kensuke's Kingdom. Evening, Rebel. And today we're going to be reading Chapter 3 of Kensuke's Kingdom, where Michael is writing in the logbook. And it's Michael's job to keep the ship's log, effectively the ship's diary. Okay? And the bit we're going to read today goes from September the 20th all the way up to Christmas Day, and we're going to find out where Michael travelled to and what he does. So now we're reading it as if it's from his diary. This is him speaking. September the 20th. It's 5 a.m. I'm on watch in the cockpit and no one else is awake. We left Southampton 10 days ago now. The channel was full of tankers. There were dozens of them going up and down. So either Mum or Dad took turns on watch the first 2 nights. They wouldn't let me. I don't know why not. Now, this is what Southampton looks like. Southampton is a very busy port on the south of England. And I think his mum and dad probably didn't want him to take charge because there's so many big ships around. Okay? And he would have head out of there into the English Channel. Now, Southampton, if we look at the globe here, Southampton in England is right at the top there, and we're going to see where he goes next. There wasn't any fog, and I can see as well as they can. We were planning on sailing about 200 miles a day. That's about 8 knots, but in the first week we were lucky if we made 50 miles a day. Barnacle Bill warned us about the Bay of Biscay. So we were expecting it to be bad, and it was. Force 9 gale, force 10 sometimes. We were slammed about all over the place. I thought we'd sink. I really did. Once, when we came up onto the top of the wave, I saw the bow of the Peggy Sue pointing straight up at the moon. It was like she was going to take off. Then we were hurled down the other side so fast I was sure we were going to the bottom. Davy Jones's locker. It was bad. I mean, it was horrible, really horrible. But the Peggy Sue didn't fall apart, and we made it to Spain. Now, I've got a picture of the Bay of Biscay. Now, the Bay of Biscay is a very notorious piece of the sea. It's just off the coast of France, where there's an awful lot of storms. But Michael and his family made it through, and they made it through to Spain. Now, I'll just get to Spain here. They made it through to La Coruna, on the tip of Spain. If we go over to the globe here, so they've gone through the Bay of Biscay, which is here, and they've gone just through to the tip of Spain. Okay, let's find out what happens next. Mum gets quite snappy with us sometimes when we don't do things right. Dad doesn't seem to mind. Not out here, not at sea. He just winks at me and we get on with it. They play a lot of chess together when it's calm enough. Dad's winning so far, 5 games to 3. Mum says she's not bothered, but she is. I can tell. We only spent a couple of days in La Coruna. Mum slept a lot. She was really tired. Dad did some work on the rudder cable while we were there. He's still not happy with it, though. We set off for the Azores 2 days ago. Now, the Azores are some islands which are just off the coast of Spain. Okay, they're here. The Azores are here. So they've gone from Spain across to the Azores in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. What a fantastic adventure this is. Yesterday was the best day we've had for sailing. Strong breeze, blue sky, and warm sun to dry things out. My blue shorts blew off the washing line into the sea. It doesn't matter. I never liked them much anyway. We saw gannet slicing into the sea all around us this afternoon. Really excellent. Stella Artois went mad. I'm fed up with baked beans already. And there's still stacks of them down below. Goodness me, baked beans every day. That could get pretty grim on a boat with 3 other people, I think. Right, October 11th. Today, I saw Africa. It was in the distance, but Mum said it was definitely Africa. We're going down the west coast. Mum showed me on the chart, and there they are. They've gone to the Azores. And it looks like they're stopping by the Canary Islands. I'll show you a picture of that in a moment. And then they're going to the Cape Verde Islands off the coast of Africa. Mum showed me on the chart, the wind will take us down the coast for a few hundred miles, then across the Atlantic to South America. We mustn't drift off course, else we'll get into the Doldrums. There's no wind there at all, and we could just sit there, be calm for weeks, forever maybe. Now, the Doldrums is a place on the in the oceans where there's no wind, and ships just get stranded there as they wait for some wind to blow them along. It's the hottest day we've had. Dad's very red in the face, and the top of his ears are peeling. I'm more nutty brown, like Mum. Saw flying fish early this morning, and so did Stella. Then Mum spotted a shark off the port bow. A basking shark, she thought. I got the binoculars out, but I never saw it. She said I had to write it down in my notebook anyway, and then draw it. I looked them up. They're massive, but they don't eat people, just fish and plankton. I like doing my drawings. My best one so far is a flying fish. Right, flying fish and basking sharks. Let's have a look at some pictures of those. Now, let's have a look. There, where are we? Now, that's a basking shark. Again, they don't have they're not like great white sharks that are up to snap your legs off. They filter lots of plankton, but they're huge. And this is a flying fish. Okay, which appears to have wings. They're not really flying fish. They just kind of shoot out of the water and glide for a bit. But an amazing creature, nonetheless. They look as if they're having a good time. So where will they go next? They're going across the Atlantic Ocean from Africa to South America. I think that's what they'll be doing next. I sent a card to Eddie from the Cape Verde Islands. I wish he could be here. We'd have a real laugh. Stella loves to chase the football around the cabin and pounce on it. She'll puncture it one day, I know she will. Dad's been a bit gloomy, and Mum's gone to lie down. She's got a headache. I think they had a bit of a tiff. I don't know what about exactly, but I think it's about chess. We've just left November 16th. We've just left Recife. Now, Recife is in Brazil, so we're across the globe. They've gone across the Atlantic Ocean here. They've gone across here. Recife is, I think that's how you say it. Recife is there. Or just Recife. And a bit of trivia here, children. Once upon a time, Mr. Spencer was once offered a job in Recife. Okay, I'll tell you more about that another day. So they've gone across the Atlantic Ocean there to Recife. And there it is on the beach in Recife. Look at that. Oh, that beach looks fantastic, doesn't it? We were there for 4 days. We had a lot of repairs to do on the boat. Something was wrong with the wind generator and the rudder cable still sticking. I played football in Brazil. Did you hear that, Eddie? I played football in Brazil. And with your lucky football. Dad and me were just having a kickabout on the beach. And before we knew it, we had a dozen kids joining in. It was a proper game. Dad set it up. We picked sides. I called my side Mudlarks and he called his Brazil. So they all wanted to play on his side, of course. But Mum joined in on my side and we won. Mudlarks 5, Brazil 3. Mum invited them back for a Coke on board afterwards. Stella growled at them and bared her teeth, so we had to shut her down in the cabin. They tried out their English on us. They only knew 2 words, goal and Manchester United. That's 3, I suppose. Mum had the films developed. There's one of some leaping dolphins, another of me at the winch, Mum at the wheel, another of Dad hauling down the mainsail and making a right mess of it. Now, these days, children, we have cameras on our phones and they're digital cameras, but in the olden days, old-fashioned days of yore, you used to have to put a special film in your camera, and that's what he means when he said Mum has the films developed. There's one of me diving a rock into the sea when we stopped in the Canaries. There's one of Dad fast asleep and sunbathing on deck, and Mum giggling. She's about to dribble the sun cream all over his tummy. I took that one. It was my best photo. And then there's one of me doing my maths, sulking and sticking my tongue out. So let's have a look at some of these places that they've been. That was La Coruna in Spain. Then they've been... Now, this is in the Azores. Look at that. That looks like a good place to be, doesn't it? Okay. And that's this is the Canary Islands. Look at that. The Canary Islands are islands in the Atlantic which have been formed by volcanoes, the volcanic islands. I've been to one or two. Some of your parents might have been to some, like Gran Canaria. That's one. And look at them. They can tell it's like a mountain in the middle of the sea. There's a palm tree. Look at that sunset, doesn't it? Don't you wish you were there now? I know I do. Well, tomorrow we'll find out about some more of the places that Michael and his family visit. See you tomorrow.